You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, guys, I wanted to bang out a podcast here talking about a relevant topic that one of you guys had, which was talking about what is the best truck for your lawn and landscaping business? Now, I know a lot of you guys might already be thinking, dude, I already have a truck. I don't really need to get another truck. I'm not shopping for another truck. I already know what I think the best truck is. All great ideas, all great topics, all great conversation. What I wanted to do was just short and sweet, go through a list here that I was writing down about things that I think are relevant to, buying your next truck, though. Things to consider, especially if you're building a small business with 1 to 3 trucks, or medium-sized business with 7 to 10 trucks, maybe 20 trucks. And then what are you looking for the larger fleet type businesses if you're building a $5, $10, $20 million company, right? I wanted to just kind of roll through some of those topics here today. I don't have an agenda behind anything here to convince you guys one way or another with any certain truck size or brand or weight rating or anything like that. Unfortunately, we don't have a Brian's 10 Ford Motor Company just yet. It'd be nice if we did. Anybody know anybody at the Blue Oval, folks? Tell them to holla at your boy. So here's what I wanted to do. I wrote down a couple topics here. We talked about reliability, capacity, which truck specifically, extra topics, and then just kind of debating things like mechanically, are you mechanically inclined, 4x4, gas versus diesel, tires, lighting. We're going to talk about 150s, 250s, 350s, 450s, dump trucks, Rhinos, Isuzus, Rangers, ramp racks. Like, where do they all come into play as you guys grow your lawn and landscaping business? And again, I'm not going to come from this top down, this is what you need to do. I'm going to just come from here's what I did, and then here's what I noticed other people doing, kind of a deal. Does that make sense? So I wanted to give a quick plug and shout out to the guy who helped me come up with this conversation. His name is Tad. And so shout out to you, Tad. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I went full circle to helping you with this question, because you had shot me a very lengthy email saying, hey, what's the best truck to get? What's the best vehicle? I'm looking at an F-150. I want to upgrade from here. Is this the right choice? And you wanted to purchase a coaching call on this topic. I said, hey, hang tight. I said, if you want to do a coaching call afterwards, maybe we can, but let me save you some money in the meantime, and let's do a podcast for a topic that I think would be very beneficial for the whole community. So that's being said, I'm going to jump into this here in just a quick minute. I'm going to get a sip of water from the Uptime Blood Orange with other natural flavors energy drink, the zero sugar, still on the no pop phase and kick. And by the way, this was actually an interesting comment back and forth on YouTube. Somebody had said yesterday, Brian, thank you for creating, this is a recent YouTube video that I dropped. They said, thank you for creating real, authentic conversations and videos. You can tell you enjoy making these videos, and you're not just trying to make them to make them. And I said, and no dig on anybody else or anything like that. He said, yeah, you're very authentic, super appreciate it. Another person commented, it's just like Brian's transition, getting a sip of water. That's the only one he has in his bag. That's how you know he's real, because he's not trying to make it a canned, commercial or canned response. I thought that was pretty funny. I said, hey, whatever makes the content more palatable. And then number 2, if you guys have a funny, awkward transition that you guys want me to incorporate into a future show, write something out and I'll read it on the air live for you guys. So it's like, just like we have to do something else, we have to hit the commercial sponsors. So just like you have to make sure you shave every day, we got to make sure we hit the sponsors every day. I don't know. It could be a funny little trend, but if you guys got something funny you want me to read on air, I'm taking a note out of the Epic Movie Trailer guy, where if you leave a comment on his YouTube channel, he'll read them at the end of one of his joke, satire reviews on movie trailers. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys for just a quick minute. Let's hear from today's show sponsors and announcements, and then we're going to come right on back.
Enjoying today's show? Motivated to take your lawn care and landscaping business to the next level? Learn what it takes to grow your lawn and landscaping business today with training and education from the Lawntrepreneur Academy. Get educated with how-tos on mulch installation, plowing snow, aeration and overseeding, and so much more. These training programs are designed to help you save time and make more money with your business. Invest in your future by first investing in yourself. Use promo code PODCAST to save 10% on all courses today at Lawntrepreneur Academy. lawncareandlawnacademy.com. Now, back to the show.
All right, guys. Well, let's jump right back into it here. I am super excited about going down this rabbit hole for you guys and helping you out. Hey, really quick, one quick plug here just for helping you guys out with Lawntrepreneur Academy. We just dropped the 3 Spanish resources. I said they're coming February 1st. They are already on the website. If anybody wants to check them out, you need some Spanish resources. We've got the subcontractor agreement, the employee handbook, and the employee application, all translated to Spanish. That took a lot of time, a lot of money to get that changed over. So if you guys are hiring anybody, Hispanic friends that are going to be working for your crew this year, we've got some great resources there for you guys. I just wanted to mention that because I was up till about 1:30 the last 3 nights in a row, from about 9:30 to 1:30, just, dude, burning the midnight oil. If you can tell, my voice is a little raspy. My eyes are watering. I don't know if it's allergies or if I'm just, running it hard, obviously, and running it back. But if you guys need those resources, they are at lawnchpreneuracademy.com. The LAL 2022 replay will be dropping February 1st, as long with our very highly anticipated, I'm going to hype this one up because I'm really pumped about it, lawn care pricing and profitability calculator. That's going to be dropping February 1st. So all these resources are coming down the pike. Super excited about that. So I've been putting in the midnight oil. If you've been watching on Instagram stories, I've been sharing that I've been editing this stuff, chopping it up, trying to get it out to you guys. It's a huge undertaking. It's so much money. It's so much money, so much time, so much effort to build these resources. I'm just super passionate about it, and I know it's going to help so many people. So that's why I'm just trying to work through them to get them out as soon as I can into the spring rush. So anyway, lawnchpreneuracademy.com. Check it out. If you guys have never been there, it's our training and resource website. Contracts, all the other mess, anything you can need to start a successful lawn care business, it's all right there for you. Pennies on the dollar. You can shoestring budget this thing as you grow your company and keep reinvesting. Appreciate the love and support. It's going to be a huge season, and I just want to get those resources to you guys. Also, you guys, if you want to build a postcard campaign with Postcard Mania, please know that you have to buy the postcard first at lawnchpreneuracademy.com, then take that design over to Postcard Mania, and they can help you with printing them up or get you a EDDM or a Business Select mailing campaign. You have to buy the postcard first, then take it over there. A lot of you guys are inquiring with Samantha and her team, VIP at postcardmania.com. Also, postcardmania.com/Brian. That's our postcard website. But they're sending me a lot of people that haven't bought the postcard design just yet. So sorry if there's any miscommunication on a previous podcast or something that I put out. You have to get the template first from our website, $75, pick your different style, then just take it over there. They can chomp that thing up and print it up for you in 2 days' time. I mean, it's wild. So, all right, let's get into the meat of the conversation. Enough with the ads. Let's do this really quick. So the two things that I kind of wrote down, I did a notepad here. This is for your show prep, folks. I never really do like show prep. I just jot some things down. I don't know if that's prep or not, but it just gives me a couple running thoughts that I wanted to go with. I really kind of deduced trucks down to 2 parts, and it could be many subgenres and subtitles and subcategories and all that other mess, but it really comes down to the work truck's reliability, and number 2, the capacity. I mean, this is just my thought. This is just my opinion, of course. Some things it's a non-negotiable for other people. That's fine. That's cool. Heated seats, LED lights, a lift. Everybody's got their own non-negotiables, but blunt force, if we're just talking about growing a company and you need a workhorse, it really should just come down to reliability and capacity. For reliability, we could talk about solo owner operators versus a larger outfit. And then capacity, I put the weight rating, the load capacity, etc. So let's break this down really quick. Reliability, when I had my Ford F-150 and I had just got in the business, well, let me take it back. By the way, this whole story is going to be shared at length in the book that I just got finished writing about 3 weeks ago. It's going through ACX. It's going through the typographer to get it e-Kindle and book ready, if you will. Our book's coming down the pike. I cannot wait. Dude, I've got so much money, so much time put into this thing. I had no idea the undertaking that would be writing your own book. Paul Jameson makes it look good. I'm telling you, he makes it look good because I'm coming in as a hot mess. So when the book comes out, hopefully you guys buy a copy or 2 or 3. One for you, one for a buddy, that kind of deal. That would just make my heart happy. It would just bless me. So, because I know that book's going to help so many people. But in this book, I talked about the whole breakdown of how I started my lawn care business. My younger brother was at college at Michigan State. His Dodge Durango was left in the driveway. I was wise enough to be like, hey, let's. I needed a vehicle to pull my new mower, and it wouldn't fit in the Dodge Durango, so I bought that utility trailer at Tractor Supply. We're talking super humble beginnings, circa 2006, maybe 2005, 2006. And so anyway, that Dodge Durango was awesome, but then my brother graduated from a freshman to a sophomore to a junior. And the rule was at Michigan State, if you're living in the dorms, I think as a freshman, maybe a sophomore, you couldn't have a vehicle on site. So until he was able to move up to an apartment and room split with like 4 or 5 buddies, his junior and senior year at Michigan State, he left that Dodge Durango in the driveway. So what did I do as a good, caring, nice, kind older brother? I commandeered that thing and I said, I'm putting it to work for my lawn care business, and I'm going to destroy it by putting grass clippings in every single nook and cranny that you could ever imagine. And if you guys have a work truck, you guys can relate. They just through, even if you take care of them, they still get beat up. We got nicer trucks now. They still get beat up. I don't care. People like all the time rag on me for buying nicer trucks and just putting them through the wrecker. And I'm like, dude, it's just a tool. It's just a vehicle. It's just a car. It's an inanimate object. Like if a falling airplane engine hit it and smoked it into a crater, I would not cry about it. I'd be like, oh, that sucks. $1,000 insurance claim or $5,000 insurance claim, deductible, whatever. And we have a new truck 30, 60, 90 days later or 6 months later. Like life would go on. It's an inanimate vehicle. Like the emotion that people have with vehicles in the United States is absolutely unhealthy. It just is. Like I'm all about you getting your cool car and all that other mess, and it changing your business. Like I did a video picking up my new F-250 about 4 or 5 years ago. It absolutely changed our business. That's why I got emotional. That's why Liz and I were crying in the truck picking it up. It wasn't like, oh my God, it's a Ford F-250. It was we had saved so much money, 20 grand, which was a lot of money, still is a lot of money. Put every single dollar that we had, stretched to get in there. We had like a $571 a month payment. That was like $5,000 a month payment for us back then. You know, it's still a lot of money. But it allowed us to, have a reliable truck. It allowed us to pull the new heavier enclosed trailer that we had purchased and invested in, allowed us to get into the snow business. That truck opened up, 6 figures of new revenue opportunity for us in a very, very short while. So that was the emotional attachment to the truck. When it goes to reliability, when I had the Dodge Durango, very unreliable vehicle. Here's how you know it's unreliable. When the fuel gauge doesn't work and you don't know where the little bobber is in there to let you know if you have a half tank, quarter tank, eighth of a tank, half tank, 3/4 tank and above, that's a very unreliable vehicle. So the joke was every time I took the trailer out, where we lived in the trailer park, there's 2 roads that you have to take down, and there's a BP gas station. If you know the area, it's the most popular BP, I think, gas station in the whole planet. But everybody fills up at this gas station. All the lawn care landscaping guys do because it's like the hub, and the owner there is like really chummy with all the people to get us all to fill up our fleet vehicles there. Really nice guy, Marvin. And so every day we'd drive by that Dodge, that BP gas station on the way out from my subdivision, living at my mom's trailer park, and we would throw $20 in the tank every day. It didn't matter what it was at. Every day we throw $20 in there because you never know what the fuel gauge was at. And also gas was like $4.50 a gallon my second year of business. That basically bled out any profitability I ever had for the rest of the season because I just didn't know my pricing, and it was rough. So anyway, that truck was reliable. The 4x4 was, tricky. Ironically enough, we did put $20 in there every day. So we talk about fuel efficiency, even pull a little 1,000-pound utility trailer and mower setup rig. We were getting, 7 miles to the gallon back then. So not the best with efficiency or anything like that. But it was initially a very reliable vehicle, minus the gas tank issue, the gas gauge issue. So from there, I graduated to my brother came back home or took the Dodge Durango. I don't really remember. This is 15 years ago. I went and bought on lunch break a sight unseen F-150 from a car dealership, and I bought a 02 Super Crew race red F-150, the old body style. Circa 2002, had 72,000 miles on it. The vehicle was 6 years old, had a red tonneau cover, chrome rims, chrome package, not like ghetto chrome package, just, some chrome accents. It was a very classic car for 2002. It looked really, really nice. 5-6 years old, gently used. Everything was immaculate on it. Had a CD player, an AM FM, like holla at your boy. We were big time to listen to the big timers, and that's what we were doing in 2005, 2006, 2007, whatever it was. That truck was a great little workhorse. It was a O2 F-150, 4.6 liter V8 Triton engine. I don't think it was the 5.3. It was a little 4.6. But that thing was my mule. That was my quote unquote workhorse. It was about 10 grand, and that was a chunk of change for me back then, because the most money I'd ever spent besides the Hyundai that I bought was $10,000 for my personal vehicle, was the lawnmower I just bought for $5,300. So adding 10 grand to my business, adding 10 grand to my life, dude, that was a lot of money. That was a lot of risk. That was a huge investment. That was like me signing away going, oh man, I hope this works. Because my fledgling little lawn care business, I had 20, 30, 40 customers, and I was trying to take it from a part-time business to a full-time business. Now, parallel paths, this is around that same 4 or 5 month window where I got the truck. 4 months later, finished up my season at TruGreen. The following spring in February, we did spray training, and that's when they let me go. So I already had this truck for 6-7 months, new $250 a month car payment, whatever I had. And then I got laid off, and I was like freaking out because I had 2 car payments with my Hyundai and my F-150. I maybe was doing, $1,000 a month worth of revenue, like $1,000 a month, or maybe $2,000 a month. Nothing to really write home about, right? Anyway, we document all this in the book. It's a fun story. It's a wild story. It is a humble beginning story, like you wouldn't imagine. Now we get on the podcast. We're at the Stein Erickson and we're crying, and it's like, Jesus, man. The full spectrum of 15 years later. 15 years later, by the way, which I think you should be able to do what we've done in 12 to 18 to 24 months. But nonetheless, my first 10, 11 years, not the most illustrious. So, number one, the F-150 initially was very reliable. However, and I could talk about that truck forever, but at the end of it was great for hauling guys. We could, put three extra warm bodies in there for if you really needed to. We could hire or haul away like bags of leaves with the tonneau cover. I wanted to take that tonneau cover off. It was just like the fiberglass shell, like type 1, that's like kind of like bolted to the rails of the truck. It had like this, the hinges, it had the seal on it and stuff like that. So you didn't really want to like remove it. It was kind of like semi-permanent. I did take it off one time and I really regretted it. So we always just kept it on, but I was never able to like throw like leaf material back there or mulch back there or hauling anything back there. Cause that tonneau cover with those pistons was like the little actuator things. I could never really slide anything in there of any, large capacity. The tailgate in the bed, of course, is only about 2 feet deep, maybe 3 feet deep. So I wasn't able to like ever throw a pallet of something in there. Not that I would have, but you guys know what I'm saying. So that truck worked with me and worked for me pretty well, I would say, for about 2, 3, 4 years. Where I really started to get bit was I had that truck. Well, let's see, I bought my new truck in 2017. So from 2006 to 2017, I had that truck for a little over a decade. Wow. I never really quantified it that way, but that's the truth. We had it for 10 or 11 years. And by the time we traded it in, the seat was getting a little thrashed. The running boards were chipping, the paint. Maybe a couple rust spots here or there. The check engine light was going on every single day, every single week. We had I don't know if it was like 5 quarts or 6 quart engine of oil. And this is embarrassing to say, but this is like where we were. The engine was leaking oil, burning oil, whatever you call it. And it was just, the truck was starting to really show its age mechanically, because every single month it would break down. Literally, it would break down on the side of the road. It wouldn't start. It seemed like everything started to unravel that 10th or 11th year in business. Now, maybe rightfully so. We had about 140,000 miles on it, if I wasn't mistaken. And it just really started to go downhill pretty quickly. Okay. I remember the air conditioning went out on it. That was like $800. I was like, no, we don't really need that. Like, we're only in and out of it. It's not that big of a deal. And I remember the air conditioning break in like November. And I was like, no, dude, you don't need air conditioning in the winter. Well, you kind of do to like suck the moisture out of the car, the vehicle, the windshield when you're defrosting, all that mess. I remember that happening like within a couple weeks or a couple months before or after. I can't remember the timeline. It had like a split rear axle, or maybe that's just how rear axles are. But one of the axles on the right hand side, I think it was, somehow like it got shaven, and we lost like the right rear axle where it had to be replaced. Just the rod, the axle, and then like all the labor and all this other mess from my hole in the wall friends and family. People I trust and know. This isn't like a national automotive shop. This is like or paying retail. This is like my friends, my family friends. It still cost me like $850 to get the axle, changed and swapped out and all this other mess just to get it road ready. And like, it was 100 other little things too. I remember the starter went, and these are normal things for a truck with 150,000 miles on it and all this other mess. But basically, long story short, like this truck was bleeding us out. This is like again, circa 2015, 2016, Liz and I had just got married. In 2014, we were broke as a joke, living in the 700 square foot apartment. If you know the story, we did not have a bunch of money. We did not have budget. We did not have capacity. We did not have bandwidth for $800 repairs on a 10-year-old truck every other month, literally. And then I had a 2007 Infiniti GLS sedan, a 3.5 G35X or G37X or whatever it is. G37, guys, it's sort of fading from me. But that thing similarly, I remember the ball joints going out. The air conditioning went out. That was $1,300. The ball joints were $1,200. I had one of my back left like rear brake calipers had seized and clamped for the brake on the vehicle. That was like $500. Just brakes and rotors. Like I was just getting bled out from vehicles. So people like want to buy nice cars or have multiple vehicles. Like I get it. It's cool. But man, all they are to me, I'm so like emotionally detached from vehicles because I really found like how unfun they can be when you really get on the underside of like just being raked through the coals on maintenance. One of the reasons I like the Tesla, not to give a plug for Tesla, but one of the reasons I like the Tesla is, dude, there's no real maintenance to it. There's no fluids on the whole vehicle besides windshield wiper fluid. Like, and there's 100 things you can debate about Tesla and the Teslas, of course, but at the end of the day, there's no brakes, there's no brake fluid, there's no trans fluid, there's no power steering fluid, there's no electric power starter, there's nothing, dude. There's nothing. Like I want to talk about this on another podcast, but I just wanted to streamline so many things in my life so I could just focus on income producing activities. I just wanted to focus on building the company. I just wanted to focus on building my YouTube channel, my social media, like all these little things, like even going to the gas station is incredibly annoying, right? Like I could definitely see the merit of a battery powered lawn landscape setup if you just plug the whole damn thing in overnight at your storage lockers, your pole barn, your shop, your whatever, and not have to worry about ever going to the gas station. Like it's just like these little annoying nuances of like daily life that if you can eliminate 10, 15 minutes here every single day, that stuff starts adding up over the quantity and the scope of your life and your existence. It's like the whole guy that's like, I'm going to wear loafers instead of like putting on laced up tennis shoes. He like saves 25 seconds a day. Over like, 70 years, that dude saved 3 to 4 months tying his shoe. Anyway, you can play that game to extremes, but the F-150, unfortunately, it just started breaking down so much, and we were going through so much financial toil as a family. Every month we were paying $800 a month for repairs. Like everything was hitting all at once, and we were just getting buried. And like this is when the business wasn't doing that well. Gas was extremely expensive. I was hiring people and paying them, so profits were just going right out the door. I didn't know my pricing. It was a rough, dark 2014, 15, 16. Any which way. So when we talk about reliability, people are like, well, I'm going to buy a 200,000 mile vehicle and I'm going to buy a, 1999 something. That's fine. That's cool. My biggest thing is you have to make sure that there's two ways to look at it, right? Buy something new, quote unquote, under warranty, quote unquote, reliable. New being in the last, 2 to 5 years, let's just say whatever, it's 2023, we're recording this podcast, but maybe something in the last 5 years or newer, very likely that you'll be able to run the next 2 to 4 years, not really have any major significant issues, downtimes, breakdowns. And if you did, most of this stuff is under warranty for the first handful of years, right? 3, 4, 5 years, 30, 40, 50, 60,000 miles, maybe 100,000 miles or something like that. If it's a Toyota or something like that, who knows if they get a better warranty. But then you can just focus on growing the business. And that's what you got to do those first few years in business, is just get this thing to altitude. Market and produce. Market and produce. Market to customers, produce the work. Market to customers, produce the work, build the infrastructure. That's like all you're really doing those first few years. You're not really looking to be profitable or super profitable or take out profits is probably a better way to say it. You're just trying to reinvest as much as you can for as long as you can to get this thing up to altitude. Get to that sweet spot, that first sweet spot, wherever that is for you, wherever that is for your business. If you want to be a glorified owner operator, that's great. If you want to get to the sweet spot of having a 7 to 10 person crew, a little HQ, running 1 to 1.5 million in revenue, awesome. That's a sweet spot. After that, a $2 to $4 million thing where you just keep reinvesting. You got one branch, maybe opening up a second branch. You got 35, 40 team members, right? There's like these sweet spots that you guys are noticing along the way. Also where people plateau, because to go to the next level, it takes the next level of investment, right? So any which way, first vehicle, if you want to buy something a little bit newer, that's what I would suggest, 5 years or less. Now, again, you might need some cash, some credit. Might be hard to get a gently used 2020 F-250 that's $48,000 when you're 18 years old and you don't have any tax returns from your business, no income statements, a 600 credit score because you just haven't built your credit up, so on and so forth. I get that. So option 2, a lot of people, we have to start with an older, junkier vehicle, and you just kind of Forrest Gump it, man. It stinks. Like option 2, you get a 2000, something Chevy or F-150 or F-250, your first truck, and it doesn't need to be this glorified Thunder $58,000 Chariot. Like nobody starts like that. Very few people start like that. I don't know anybody that started like that. But it's okay to start with a 2000, GMC 2500, and it's got rust all peppered all over the place. It's got the truck bed might have a hole through it. Like that kind of stuff is typical, right? That's where you start. That's where everybody starts, and everybody's like, I want to start up here. Like, dude, nobody starts up there. Sorry. Like the most fun parts of like the business are like the suck phase. Like it's the truth. Success is a journey, not a destination. It's so true. Like the older I get, the more I realize like growing the thing is so much better than getting the thing. Like doing what it takes to get the thing, it really is the more rewarding part than getting the thing. Like I've worked hard, bought a nice watch. I look at the watch, I go, cool watch. I don't care. Like, and I've quickly realized like, dude, getting the thing is like way less cool than like doing the work to get the thing. When I get a Lambo or if I get a whatever, we got the Tesla, whatever. I was like, oh my God, cool. We laughed, we cried. It was amazing. Oh my God. But I'm like, dude, it was like the endless hours of like working your guts out, building something, saving the money, being prudent, being diligent. Like that was the real rush. Any which way, for some of you guys that think like getting the truck or getting the girl or getting the house or getting the car, getting the watch, getting the clothes, like it's cool, it's fun, it's nice, and we hope to aspire to get more, of course. But at the end of the day, like it's the process, man. It's like the journey. So take photos everywhere you guys go of you, your setup, your crew, your rig, your first truck. Way more than you guys are right now. Everybody needs to be taking 10 times as many photos because one day you will look back on that stuff, and as nostalgic as it sounds, it'll be the coolest thing ever. So talking about the reliability, you might buy a 20-year-old truck. Find a friend, find a relative, find a neighbor that can wrench on that stuff with you. Get them a beer, get them a pizza, that kind of a deal. And keep your equipment running. That's where you're going to have to most likely start, is a $5,000 to $10,000 truck for a lot of people. It's okay. Keep it clean, wash it, do the best you can with it. And eventually, if we can teach you how to become profitable as possible, even with a push mower to a 48-inch, walk behind mower like I started, we can help you start generating $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 plus thousands of dollars a month in revenue from mowing, another $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month from landscaping services. Let that go on for 6 months, maybe 18 months, for a season or two, and we can start helping you generate enough revenue, enough profit, help you with your credit to where you can at least be able to finance that next come up vehicle. not your $80,000 Duramax diesel, blah, 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 Denali, but help you get that next $30,000 to $40,000, $50,000 truck that can now be your mule, your workhorse to really build your business and your foundation on. Because that's what we did. Like from 16 to 17 to 18, we started getting out of the weeds, started putting some things together. A lot of you guys know the story. And then in 17, we had the cash flow, the credit, and a little bit of cash down. We didn't pay cash for the truck. No way. There's no way. We still don't pay cash for our cars. By design, because you can get some pretty good interest rates. Now, today, that might be a whole different conversation for a whole nother time. But we were getting 0%, 2%, 2.5% on everything. Keep our money, keep reinvesting in the labor, keep reinvesting into the infrastructure of the companies. But that's where it was. So the first vehicle, again, you might buy something brand new. If you can, awesome. Like, we didn't have the means to that. Maybe you got some money sitting around. Maybe you have $50,000 in your savings account towards this business, and you want to buy that first 3/4 ton truck, which again is going to be the ultimate mule. Is that F-250, the Chevy 2500? We'll get into it, but that'll be the ultimate mule. If you can get into that and put $10,000 down and have a $600 a month payment, that's okay. Finance it over 4, 5, 6 years, whatever makes sense and is digestible and palatable for you and your financial situation. But that's going to be your first mule that you can really build your company around. Okay, the capacity of the truck, and then I'm going to take a quick sip of Uptime. The capacity of the truck is really what we're also shopping for. Obviously a Ford Ranger is going to have the same tow capacity or transportation, the same weight rating or capacity to haul a heavy load as an F-150, as an F-250, a 350, so on and so forth, right? So you don't really have to worry about so much hauling in terms of like bed capacity, like what you're trying to put on the truck. It's really what we're all towing. And I think that's the difference between buying an F-150, a Ranger, a 250, a 350. It's not so much like what you're putting in the bed, although that is important. It's really the capacity of what you're towing. And that's something I really wanted to just hit on for just a quick second, because I think it's an under-evaluated part of the conversation when people are looking for a truck. Let me give you a really simple silver bullet, for instance. When people are buying, this is related but unrelated, but it's the truth when we're talking about business too. When people are buying a half-ton towable camper, right, and it's a 6,000-pound camper, 5,500-pound camper, and your vehicle, your F-150, is like, oh, it has a 12,000-pound capacity, or it can tow 7,000 pounds, or whatever the numbers are. People are like, oh my God, I can tow a 6-ton, half-ton towable camper. Right, I can tow a 6,000-pound camper. The capacity in your truck is 7,000, or whatever the example is here. Your camper 6,000. You're thinking I'm in the range, so I qualify. I'm allowed to pull it. We can pull it. Awesome, we're good to go. And JD from Big Truck Big RV was on the show, maybe like in the episodes at the 80s or 100s or something like that. Great YouTuber, great YouTube channel. But he talked about you're running your truck at 80 or 90% capacity of what it should be hauling and towing. And you put yourself in a risk position, like an F-150 going down the road with a 30-foot tow behind, windstorm, rainstorm, ice, sleet, snow, steep grade up, steep grade down. Like, if your vehicle's already at 80 or 90% capacity, like, you're running to red line, right? So that's something that I just caution some of you guys out there that have like 7x16 enclosed trailers. You got 3 Skags in there, stand-ons, loaded up with racks and tools and all that other mess. And then you put, dump insert in the truck bed on an F-150, right? Like, that truck is completely overloaded. Just because you can doesn't mean you should, right? So that's something I just wanted to highlight for just a quick second, which is why F-250s, 350s, 450s are the mule of the industry. So a lot of people down south, they're like, we don't get snow. We don't need the plow. We don't need the heavy chassis, of an F-250. I can pull everything with an F-150. You're right. You totally can. And maybe that's where you start. I'm not, getting anybody's grill or anything like that. But just keep in mind, like, if you're pulling that setup I just described and you're at 80 or 90% capacity of what your truck should be able to pull or haul, you're in the potential danger zone, right? Versus if you're in an F-250 and it can haul 9,000 or 12,000 pounds or whatever, right? I don't know the numbers of a truck. I'm kind of out of that world right now because I'm not in the market. But if your rig and setup is 5,000 or 6,000 pounds, right, and your truck can pull twice that, now you're at 50% capacity of what you're using for that vehicle. And that's just a safety zone that we want to operate in, right? So that's what I would lean with the two first conversations. One is reliability. Number two is the capacity. Okay. Again, with the capacity, like putting a dump insert in an F-150, probably not the wisest idea. Putting 3 yards of mulch in the back of an F-150, can you do it? Sure. More than likely, whether you tarp it or you get a dump insert or whatever, anything fancy in between, you would just have more capacity hauling with a heavier chassis vehicle. Does that just make sense? Pretty common sense stuff. All right, let's do this real quick. I got to give my voice a quick break. I'm going to get a sip of Uptime. And what I want to talk about was, we've already been talking about this, but which truck? I got about 8 or so that we're going to run through, and then also extra topics, and then we're going to come right on back. Is this helpful for you guys? If so, give me a hell yeah, and we will come right on back.
Have you ever thought about starting your own lawn and landscaping business, but not sure where to start? Look no further than LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com, an e-training website dedicated to helping you start and grow a successful lawn care business. Save more time and make way more money by learning exactly what it takes to grow your business to the next level. Invest in your future by first investing in yourself. Use promo code PODCAST to save 10% on all training programs today at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com. Now, back to the show.
All right, guys. Well, let's jump right back into it. Had to get a sip of Uptime. By the way, if you guys are ever recording a podcast, they say only drink water, because anything with like fruit or juice or carbonation is going to make you, clap with the lips on the podcast. How about that for an instant replay? So any of you guys going to record podcasts this year, just a quick little helpful tip there. Okay, let's do this real quick. We talked about reliability. We talked about capacity. This is the podcast that you guys, you didn't know you needed or didn't know you wanted, but not all heroes wear capes, right? So we're going to be talking about trucks for 36 minutes, going on 45 minutes here. We're going to wrap it up here in the next 10 minutes. That's my goal. All right. Which truck? F-150s, F-250s, F-350s, 450s. And by the way, these are just Ford trucks. Pick, half ton, 3/4 ton, 1 ton, all that mess. Okay. Like I said earlier, it just depends on your region. Depends on where you start, all this other mess. An F-150 or an older 2500 is a great way to start. If you ever plan to plow snow, I would never plow snow in an F-150. And again, you could make it work. You can give me examples of it working. That's totally fine. That's totally cool. Let's talk as a end game, proper business owner, careered contracting professional. Right? Like, just because you can make it work with an F-150. My friend Jake Meisner had an F-150, had a Boss HTX half ton, the silver stainless plow. Awesome truck, awesome setup. Dude was doing like 40 driveways a winter snowstorm. The HTX was kick ass. We did a video on it. Awesome. But Jake quickly graduated from that setup about 2 years later, maybe even sooner, because his business started crushing it. He got out of college, he went all in, and he was doing really, really good. Just because you can doesn't mean you should long term, right? As a good Band-Aid, that's fine. But at the end of the day, if you run the numbers, it might have made sense for Jake to just finance a truck, finance the plow, or finance the truck, pay cash for the plow, because his HTX, I think, was still $6,000 or $7,000. I don't think Jake would mind me sharing these numbers, but the HTX was still $6,000 or $7,000, and a full-blown Boss, 92 DXT was like, $8,000 back in the day. So it wouldn't have been that much more of a jump. And if the difference was I can't afford the truck, well, trade in whatever truck you had, put that down as a $5,000, $8,000 down payment for the truck, have a $450, $650 a month truck payment, pay cash for that plow, and now you're in business, and you don't have to lose equity or time or frustration, right? Or wait until 3 o'clock, in the morning for people to hit you up on the buy sell groups on Facebook or Marketplace, wasting just hours and endless hours of time back and forth with the dealer installation and all this other mess and selling the vehicles, right? With that F-150 and that HTX plow, right? So that the time opportunity cost there was 50 hours, right? And that's where people are always like, again, I'm not going to get on rants this whole time, but that's where people get on these like debating conversations. And I'm like, dude, the longer you debate, you're just, and it's okay to do some research. There's no doubt about that. I'm not saying like just make flippant decisions. But so many people lose so much time in their life just waiting and debating. And if there was 20 to 50 hours mixed up into that whole conversation in that example, and you were building that out at $40, $80, $100 an hour, I mean, I don't know what that is. That's 50 times 100, is that $5,000? That's $5,000 in opportunity cost there. To debate a $500 to $1,000 savings or a $500 to $1,000 different cost to figuring out that setup, right? So anyway, let's move quicker. That's the goal with our show, and that's the goal with anything that we put out there is like, let's shore up the time frame to get you to a successful company. It's not going to be easy. It's simple. It's not going to be free. It takes time, takes investment. But again, you should be able to do what we did in a decade, or really these last 4 or 5 years, which is really like the starring shine of our business growth. You should be able to do that in 12, 18, 24 months. Okay. All right. So F-150 is a great place to start. A used F-250, great place to start. A good half ton, a good 3/4 ton is a standard work mule in our industry. I think everybody's probably striving to a 2500 Chevy, Ram, or an F-250, for Ford. Okay, that seems to be the staple workhorse. From there, because that's just like the best truck that I've seen in the market for everybody, for every company. Okay, from there, F-350s. Why would you do an F-350? I just wrote down. It's typically because the axles. Okay, there's not really anything different with a 250 and a 350, other than again the capacity. Right, so we just talked about reliability. We're talking about capacity. The capacity with an F-350, bigger axles, so you can put salters or bigger salters. You can put bigger front end plows like a Western Wideout, XL, a Boss EXT, or like a Snowpower F12 or an F14. Right, that's kind of why you would get those bigger trucks if you want it for the snow plowing. Hauling heavier, maybe dump inserts. Maybe dump trucks or dump trailers, hauling more. A lot of that tongue weight is going to be transferred to that rear hitch, so you want to have more capacity. So if you start getting skid steers and mini excavators, or you're hauling 8-10 yards of something, or 20-yard leaf boxes, all that mess, eventually you might want to start looking at those 1 tons for that rear axle for the bigger capacity. Okay. Another one I wrote down here, and this is an obvious, is campers. Whether you guys are doing a tow behind or you guys are doing a fifth wheel one day, I understand that we use our work trucks 99.99% of the time for work, but there's the 1% of pleasure. It's okay to go take your truck and, chuck with your, well, I'm not going to give any advice, but if you want to go haul your camper, quote unquote, up north for 3 hours and you got your work truck to do it, just make sure your bases are covered and your ducks are in a row. But that's why I have an F-350, is if we ever get a camper in the next 5 to 10 years for the fam, we can use this truck to haul it. Okay. All right, let's keep going. That's really the difference between 250s and 350s. Otherwise, I don't think you really need to get a 350. It just comes doon to capacity. If you can get a bunch of 3,500 Rams for a 9.2 or a 10-foot plow on the front and a 2-ton capacity hopper on the back for salt, that's usually where you're going to start seeing those bigger trucks. If you don't do salt and you don't do snow and you live anywhere in like the transition zone from Tennessee to Virginia to the Plain States and South, you can probably get away with an F-250 and also probably a 4x2, which is the correct way to say it, two-wheel drive vehicle, okay? We'll get to that in a second. Dump trucks and dump inserts. These are your auxiliary vehicles. These are your additional vehicles. Do you need to start out initially with a dump truck? No. Do you need to start out initially with a vehicle with a dump insert? No. Do you need to start out initially with a Rhino? No. The Isuzu cab overs. No, these are the people that are going to start building their fleets of their company, right? So when you're an owner operator, obviously you want to have that first nice, most reliable vehicle. And that's why I buy new or very, very gently used, because everything rises and falls on that first truck, that one truck, if you're an owner operator, especially if you're doing snow. God forbid your truck doesn't work or doesn't start or that plow is not going to work. You don't need to be having a 20-year-old truck and a 20-year-old plow that you got on Craigslist for $1,500. Although you can, that's fine. You just better know every single nut, bolt, hose, clamp, whatever on the truck and the plow. And that's a fair common sense statement. If you've been there, you understand. For me, I'm not that good at being mechanically inclined. I'm talking about like wrenching on the vehicles. I can change oils and spark plugs and simple stuff. But when it comes to like, hey, why the truck won't start, I don't have a top 12 thing checklist. So I'm going to go other than tap on the starter. Okay, that's about my capacity of working on my vehicles. But my point is, if you're an owner operator, you probably want to be relying on a vehicle that's, again, 5 years or less old, right? Because that's going to be your mule, and everything's going to rise and fall in that truck. If you start realizing like your payments, not your payments, your repair bills, right, are going to start costing you several hundreds of dollars a month. You might as well just start looking at the conversation of taking that truck, rolling the equity in it into a new truck, and putting $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 down. My philosophy on that is put 20% down. That way, if you ever had to quote unquote get out from underneath it, you can always fire sale that vehicle. That's a personal philosophy. You guys do whatever you want. It's a pretty conservative approach. Ironically enough, I was just doing a coaching call with somebody the other day, and we were talking about that. And I said that conversation changes based on when you guys listen to the podcast. Because the last 2 years, we've had this pandemic thing called COVID. And if you guys are listening back 4 or 5 years from now, we had this pandemic thing called COVID, and you were able to buy a vehicle 6 months later, sell it, and make money on it as you used it and put 10,000 miles on it, which is wild. I think those days are quickly fading. So my philosophy is still, if you ever had to fire sell anything, buying new, once you drive it off the lot, you're going to lose 10, 15% off the top. At least if you put 15 to 20% down, you can always quote unquote get out from underneath it. God forbid something happened where you had to fire sell that vehicle or get rid of your business. Okay. So let's talk about this. Dump trucks, great auxiliary vehicles. I'm not going to go down a whole rant on dump trucks. There's two philosophies there, right? Buy a $20,000, 10-year-old old square body Chevy dump truck. Awesome. Fantastic. Or option two, fully loaded, XL, well, not fully loaded XL, that's an oxymoron, but an XL fully loaded with the Monroe dump insert, the lights, the headache rack, the buyer's boxes, everything's attached to this thing. It's going to be pushing $75,000. We did a video on YouTube. A gentleman had one. I think he was the tail end of that video, the snowplow setup video. He had a great dump truck. That's something I'm actually looking at. I don't know if I want to drop 70 G's on that thing, but because you got to get different licensing, potentially CDL ratings, all that kind of mess. Commercial vehicle insurance goes through the roof for those things. The tires are not stuff you get at Bell Tire. You got to go to tire shops that can get you commercial trucking tires. Ask Bedell. That almost bled him out. That's why Bedell downgraded some of his vehicles to different workhorses, because it's a whole different animal, especially if they're diesels and you start wrenching on that thing, $125 an hour. Ask Bedell about some of his horror stories that he had a couple years back. I felt bad every time Bedell had to take it to the dealer. But again, if you are getting into more landscaping, a dump truck, of course, or dump trailers would be a great way to go. Rhinos, Isuzus, cab-overs, just a quick honorable mention. I think if you start building fleets, I think it's one of the best ways to go. I also, not only do I believe that, just thinking out loud, that's what I would do, but also number two, practically speaking, everybody that's got the bigger companies seem to be switching over to the Isuzus. I don't think they're a silver bullet, but they're 80% of the way there, versus a pickup truck is about 30 to 50% of the way there. What do I mean specifically? Well, we're talking about trailers. People just thrash and bash trailers, just in the field. You're going through axles, you're going through tires, you're going through brakes, you're hitting stuff with them. Not everybody can back up a trailer. They cost another 10 to 15 grand on their own. They last 5 to 7, maybe 10 years. Versus an Isuzu, 40 to 60 grand. Anybody can just hop in that thing. You don't need any special licensing. Put 2 mowers on there, you got your racks. Everything's like a self-contained man purse for your lawn care company going down the road. And I actually heard somebody echo that and double down on that exact thought process. Was Sam Gembel with Atlas Outdoors. Awesome dude, awesome people, awesome company. They're starting to transition a lot of their truck and trailer setups, especially because of the Michigan roads, and also the young age of the people that have working there. They're all in their 20s. And this new generation, they haven't looked over their, shoulder and backed up vehicles, or looked at, with their or trailers, or looked out their mirrors to back up things. That's kind of phasing out in the new generation, backup cameras and all this other mess. Having somebody, have a 24-foot long crew cab truck, or 18-foot long crew cab truck, and then backing up an 18 to 24-foot long enclosed landscape trailer, bro, you got a 40, 50-foot rig going down the road. And you want to throw some 19-year-old, kid on there. I don't care if you grew up on the farm. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of liability going down the road. So Jay Jacobs is a great example of I call it a mid to medium sized business. He's crushing about 3 or 4 of these things on the road, maybe 4 or 5 at this point. Great setup. We did a separate video on YouTube just about his cab over setup. I think it's the way to go. Corey Ballard, Perfect Cut, they've got 10 or 20 of these setups for their mow crews. again, haul 2 mowers on there. They've got the whole ramp set up, obviously. I think that's one of the best ways to go if you start to scale your business is those Isuzu cab mowers. Okay. Let's talk about one other quick thing. And this is something that's a good honorable mention is like Ford Rangers or like the little like Chevy Canyons or Colorados or, whatever brand and vehicle. I don't know. Those are great little vehicles for like your salespeople, your estimators, your design build people, your property weeding people. Like if you just want to go pull weeds or somebody's like fertilizing touch-up spots or maybe somebody's pruning, they take all the pruning stuff with them. It's just like the pruning vehicle. Of course, you have a dump truck or dump trailer to haul that stuff away with the big rig. But maybe these are just like little auxiliary vehicles that you have going on. You can build maybe some ramp racks on those, or maybe you can build some cages on those if you have some urban city mow accounts and put some push mowers in the back and a trimmer blower and you're good to go. I always talk to Liz. I'm like, dude, it'd be cool to just have a $20,000 Ford Ranger, a couple-year-old one, but still looks nice, still looks new, has the company lettering on it, and we could go pull up in estimates with that. It's conservative. You're not pulling up in the $60,000 rig, and people are like, man, what are you charging? Like that whole deal, which is a funny joke. But it would be cool to just have one of those on site. And whether I take it out or we have some 16, 18-year-old kid take it out and he just pulls weeds. Maybe we were 3 bags of mulch short. We're, a couple hundred, feet short or, 50 feet short of mulch. And we have to get, a ton delivered, or I'm sorry, not a ton, but a yard delivered of mulch to wrap up a site. Hey, we can send some guy out there with 8 bags of brown mulch and you can go finish that. Making parts runs, these little vehicles are nice to have on just part of the rig and the setup. Once you start getting to, 3 to 8 guys is maybe just having a spare little Ford Ranger out there. For a bunch of little capacities. I told Liz, I said, it'd be cool to just have a 20 grand, Ford Ranger sitting around. Not that, of course, everything costs money, insurance, gas, all that other mess to keep it. So make sure it's making you money, of course. But if I had 2 choices between, and I'm telling you guys straight up, this is just practical conversation, but if I had 2 choices of taking my F350 with the snow power and all this crap, and, it's a huge truck, to zip around town, or if I could just jump in a 2018 Ford Ranger, just simple vehicle just to zip across town to go get something. It's like driving a car. I'd rather just go take the Ranger and just zip there and back. Rob and I have talked about that because I gave him Thunder and he came from a gray Ford Ranger. I said, hey dude, if you got that thing in red, I would like buy it off you. Unfortunately, there was no red ones left in the state of Michigan in like circa 2020 because his car blew up and so he bought that new Ranger. But I said, dude, to keep the miles off Thunder, our red F250 Lariat, I said, maybe I'll just buy like a 20 grand Ranger. And if you're already going to keep this in the fleet anyway, and I'll just give you a company vehicle, if one day somebody needs to take the Ranger out to go pull weeds, they can do that. And then you can drive the 250. But otherwise, we can just leave the 250 in the shop at the barn, or leave it parked, keep the miles off it, because that truck per mile, per day, per hour, per mile, whatever, is like, $15 a mile versus driving the Ford Ranger could be $5 a mile or whatever the cost breakdown is. You guys know what I'm saying? So that's something that we've have been considering throwing around out there. Same thing with like the dump truck. I'd like to get a $70,000 all brand new everything truck for a mulch, for leaf cleanups, all that other mess. But I'm also, dude, that's $70,000 or $50,000. That's a lot of money. We're not made of money over here. It would solve a lot of bottlenecks where we really do need it in the spring, moving 100 to 200 yards of mulch. But the other 7 months, 8 months, 9 months of the season, that truck's going to not be a workhorse because we just don't have enough manpower or big enough company to support it. Now, that being said, we could have put a plow on it and have a third plow vehicle with it. That's something that we've talked about to have it making money the other 4 months of winter, which would kind of ease the burden of that thing for the 8-month mow season. Because we would use that dump truck like March, April, May, maybe June, maybe a month in the fall, November for leaf cleanups if we made it as a leaf vehicle. But we would not get the true hours out of it, which if it was a $20,000, $30,000 dump truck, I wouldn't be opposed to it because that would be more palatable. $75,000 truck just sitting around with an $800 a month truck payment or more. Yeah, I don't know about that just yet. But those are all conversations we're having internally with me, the guys, Liz, to see what's the next move for Brian's Lawn Maintenance, right? Like we're still growing. We're still trying to do this thing. But the Ford Ranger seems like just a fun company vehicle that we can all thrash and bash and just whatever. That's so they have their places in your company fleet. All right, let's wrap this up with a couple extra topics. Told you we'll keep it under an hour. We're probably just about there. Extra topics. I wrote, are you mechanically inclined? Again, we've hashed that out for quite a bit. Man, learn this stuff if you guys can. If you have the time, the capacity, and somebody can teach you and show you hands-on, oh my God, like fixing your snow blowers, fixing your carbs, fixing how to swap out brakes, calipers, and rotors. I don't know what else, just like the common basic stuff, how to bleed a brake line, all that kind of mess. If you have somebody that can show you, dude, like whether it's a dad or a grandpa or your beer drinking, neighbor, dude, like that's a real skill set. And that's something that if you can get the opportunity to learn, I would jump on that. I've tried many a times to get Tim, who is the main mechanic service tech at Weingarts. There's another guy, Chris, incredible dudes. Tim didn't want to be on camera. Chris didn't want to be on camera. I was like, please, you guys are like the Einsteins of fixing equipment. I mean, like you give these guys a paper clip, some belly button hair lint and some chewing gum, and these guys can get your mower back on the road in 30 minutes. Okay. Like incredibly smart dudes. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Tim. Tim got, I think, promoted and he's at a different branch for Weingarts. And then Chris is still the main guy at Farmington Hills Weingarts. If I can ever get some videos like how to replace a carb, how to change something else, how to fix this, how to adjust some valves, like I'd love to do videos like that. Because they would be such helpful little nuanced videos that would save people so much time and money from downtime, with their trucks and with their equipment, obviously. So mechanically inclined, if you can learn, rock and roll. If you guys are in high school, some of you guys listening to this are 12, 14, 16 years old. If your high school offers that class, like automotive, tech, shop, whatever you call it, for the love of God, enroll in that. Get into business classes, get into accounting classes, get into marketing classes, and then get into automotive classes. For real. If I was in like going to community college and had a 2-year landscape design degree, that'd be awesome. For landscape design build, go to community college for 2 years, go do that, get your associates. And then similarly or simultaneously, or if they offer it, take an automotive class, take a mechanical inclined something-esque class, like practical skills. That would really help you out. 4x2 by 2x4, anything Midwest, you're going to need a 4x4 vehicle. Even if you're never going to do snow, stick to a 4x2 if you're in the Midwest. If you're in the Midwest, otherwise, have a 4x4 vehicle. It will 100% help you out. If this is just your thrash and bash, beat it around truck, you don't care what happens to it for 8 months of the year, and you have another personal vehicle or another work truck, that's fine. Get a 4x2. Otherwise, if it's your standalone workhorse and mule, 4x4 is 100%, of course, the way to go. It does add, 5 to 10% more to the cost of the vehicle, but it is a absolute must, especially if you're plowing snow. Okay. If you're in the transition zones, Virginia, Tennessee, going south to Georgia, Florida, Texas, you can get by with a 4x2 vehicle. No doubt about it. Okay. Gas versus diesel. I did a whole YouTube playlist series about when I was really in the thick of it with my truck. We got about 12 or 14 videos now on my Truck Talk Tuesday playlist. Super popular playlist back in the day. All those videos have 50 to 100,000 views on YouTube, which I think is a pretty decent amount. I went through all the pros and cons of every single topic, like the interior packages, what brand, gas versus diesel, new versus used. I presented all this stuff at length. If you want a great playlist to check out, maybe have it playing in your background while you're doing your end of month invoicing, I would highly encourage you to check that out. So gas is, for me, 90% of the people listening in can just go with a gas powered vehicle. I had to clear my throat there. Sorry. If you're hauling heavy daily, then go with the diesel, or if you just got insane amount of cash to blow. And by the way, the resale value, I debunked that in one of the videos. The performance, I debunked that. The extra cost savings with a diesel, I debunked that in all these vehicles. The rule of thumb, best I understand it, over tons of research, you have to run your diesel like an extra 300,000 miles for it to break even. By the way, diesel, 1 year, it's $2 a gallon, depending on the administration in office. 4 years later, it's $6 a gallon. Okay, like that number goes up and down like crazy. So people like diesel or die. It's like, dude, 97% of people listening to my show and just listening in the contractor space these days just needs a gas engine. Unless you're hauling heavy, daily, and putting 30 to 40, 50,000 miles on your vehicle per year, you don't need a diesel truck. Now, if you have cash to blow, you want a cool truck, you want to be able to link up the Little Caesars Arena stadium to your tailgate and pull that sucker out of the ground, then dude, go get your 3500 Duramax diesel Allison transmission. Bro, that would be insane. If they could do the 6.7 with Ford with the Allison, have this perfect truck, or you go get your Cummins, dude, rock and roll, send it. But I'm telling you, you want to talk about a cash pit, a money pit, or a rabbit hole of just burning cash, that's going to be diesel engines, okay? Everybody is a diesel fan and a diesel proponent and a diesel keyboard warrior until they actually own one, and then you get your first diesel repair bill and it's $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. I'm just telling you, I've seen it 100,000 freaking times. It's just not the way to go, okay? Especially if you're under 30 and you can't afford it. You don't have your life financially together yet, and you got, 6 figures in the bank in your savings account. My humble opinion, do whatever you want. Tires, I just wrote down tires really quick. We had a Hankook brand deal over fall, which was pretty cool. Great people, super nice people, great product, great tire. We put that on the on Thunda, my F250. I'll report back in with you guys as we go and we use it more and let you know how it works and wears and tears. KO2s are great. BF Goodrich KO2s. The Hankook, not the Hankook, the Nito Ridge Grapplers, they were okay. I give them a solid B. I wasn't super impressed with them. I wasn't super under-impressed with them. My truck's got 56,000 miles on it. We got those things at about 30,000. Okay, so I know we do wear and tear, and they're a winter tire, and they're more soft, and we just leave them on year-round. But nonetheless, I think I should have got more than 30,000 miles out of those tires. I took the Michelin's off around 20, 25,000. We got about 50, 60,000 on that truck now. Good tire, good winter traction. I would probably lean more towards currently the Hankooks that we got going on, the Dyno Pros, or a Toyo. I forget them all. The AT2s, the BF Goodrich KO2s, whatever those are now. Maybe stick to the Toyos and the BF Goodriches. I wanted to try something different. Again, solid B, maybe B minus for the Ridge Grapplers. But I don't think they were an A. Not compared to what I thought I should get out of them. And that tire setup was $1,500. So anyway, not that the Ridge Grapplers were bad. They look great aesthetically. They're an A. I think actual practical capacity out of them probably a B minus. Okay. Tires, you can have that whole conversation for forever. Just get some good meaty tires. You don't need American forged wheels on there, okay? With 22, 24-inch, 26-inch rims and tires. None of that garbage, okay? The older you get, the more you realize rims, tires, and modifications to your car is a money pit. It doesn't make your car look cooler. In fact, the more you do to your truck or your vehicle, the less classy it does look, right? Grown enough to know the right car to buy, but grown enough not to put rims on it. That's what Jay-Z said. So you can get the Maybach. That's a classy car. You don't have to add rims to your Maybach. You have to add rims to your Cadillac CTS. You don't have to add rims to your Rolls Royce. You know what I'm saying? So you can take the boy out of the trailer, but you can never take the hitch out of his heart. I grew up like this. I'm from the streets. All right, lighting. Lighting's a debatable topic. It's a completely unnecessary, but for some people, it's a non-negotiable. For me, lighting is one of those things that I will justify for myself. It is a non-negotiable. I like LED lights. I like nice lights. I want to see. I want to have safety, and they just look aesthetically cool. Do you need them on your F-250 King Ranch? No. Do they look nice? Yes. It's totally debatable, but if you can get LEDs or swap them out for LEDs, I think they just help with snow plowing, especially, and just nighttime driving. And it is really helpful in the spring and the fall when, it gets dark at 4:35, 5:30, especially in the Midwest. So lighting, don't spend a ton on it. Spend it on your first vehicles. You don't need to worry about it. Later, as you get your cash right, you get your money right, and you want to reinvest. If you're an owner operator, you want the cool truck, the cool lights, go for it. On fleet vehicles, nobody cares, obviously. All right, so that's where I'm going to button it up. I put your first truck is probably going to be a Ranger or an F-150. Your second truck is going to most likely be an F-250. It might be a junk F-250, a 3/4 ton. Your second or third vehicle from there is probably going to be a nicer 3/4 ton. And then your third or fourth vehicle from there is probably going to be the baller truck. for an owner operator. If you're building your company and you want to go to 5 to 10 million and have 20 to 30, 40 guys, best I can tell, everybody started with whatever they could. Then they reinvested. They started to get a fleet of vehicles. They wanted to make it seamless and streamlined with the same type of vehicle. If you're a Chevy guy, stick with Chevy, all of your trucks. Because if you have a mechanic on staff one day, just like if you pick a mower brand, stick with that mower brand for everything. If you get a handheld equipment, stick with that handheld equipment for everything. Because you can swap filters and plugs and pull cables. A lot of that stuff is very interchangeable. Okay. Over time, if you build your fleet, most guys that I've noticed are sticking with like the 3/4 tons. Most of them are 4x4s in the Midwest. Down south, most of them are 2x4s. Lease versus buy. If you're going to be adding a plow, you got to buy. You can't lease and add a plow. But most guys I've found purchase their vehicles. Now, I'm going to put an asterisk there because when I was working at TruGreen, all their fleet vehicles were leased, which I thought was alarming. I was like, oh my God. But if you want to churn and burn, just have a fixed cost and not have any surprises, leases are a great way to go. Turn that vehicle in every 3 years. Again, if you're hooking up a plow, most likely you can't lease that thing. But I'm more of a finance to own, even if you pay cash or you finance it over 3 to 6 years or 7 years, whatever it is these days. I'm much more of a buy to own type of person versus a lease. Okay. You might be able to lease like the sales vehicle, right? That little Ranger or, some other vehicle for the company as your company grows. But the core, workhorses, most of those you're just going to finance and or pay cash. Again, if you can get a rate 4% or lower, I would highly encourage you to finance that thing, put your 20% down and keep your cash to grow the infrastructure and market your business harder to continue to grow. All right. Well, that's what I got for you guys. Maybe not the most exciting topic, but I think it was a very, very helpful one. This is just an evergreen piece of content that I can keep out there and always point back to myself. So when people ask, hey, what's the best truck to buy? So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Maybe this will get you guys some information as you go into your next buying decision or your next vehicle upgrade. We're all constantly upgrading trucks. It's just the nature of the beast. Again, don't be so emotionally connected to the vehicle is just one thing I really wanted to throw in there again is they're trucks. They're nice. They're cool. Get them, celebrate. Awesome. Customize it. It's going to be cool. It's your baby. Like you worked hard for it. Awesome. Ride it. Enjoy it. Love it. Appreciate it. Also know that if it gets T-boned tomorrow, it's just a hunk of metal. Okay. As long as you're okay, life will go on, right? It's just a hunk of metal. Don't get so emotionally attached to vehicles. I feel like people buy the wrong vehicles because they have emotion attached to that vehicle. Well, this one looks nicer and this one would represent my business better. Maybe. But if your pay grade's just not there yet or you're overextending yourself, then like maybe it's just not the right vehicle at the right time. And that's okay. Just keep the vehicles washed, keep them clean, love on them, treat them good, keep the maintenance intervals where they need to be. And those things will help you make a ton of money and be able to help you support your business. Okay. That's all I got for you guys on today's show. Hope you guys enjoy this one. An hour and 10 minutes talking about trucks. We could probably talk 5 more hours. So if you guys enjoyed this one, shoot me a DM on Instagram. Let me know. Maybe share it if you guys want and tag me and let me know what your thoughts are and what's your guys' favorite vehicle or what's your guys' vehicle of choice for your truck. That would be a really cool thing to do. That's what I got. All right. Over and out here, guys. We look forward to catching up with you guys here on the next episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast.
New program alert. The How to Get New Lawn Care Customers training program is now available. If you guys have ever struggled at acquiring new customers or are looking to grow your lawn care business, then this new program might just be for you. Looking to learn the best tactics to develop a successful postcard marketing campaign? We got you covered. Have you ever wondered how to use social media to exponentially grow your business and dominate the competition? We got that too. Whether you're just getting started in business or you're a seasoned vet, there's something for everyone in this new program available now, exclusively at LawnTrepreneurAcademy.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.